The great hall of the alien council was filled with voices, bright lights, and long shadows that stretched across the polished stone floor. Hundreds of alien nobles sat in curved rows, their strange silver eyes locked on the lone human standing in the center. He was tall compared to most of them, but the weight of their stares pressed heavy on his shoulders. He had never felt so out of place in his life. This human, his name was Daniel, had not come here for power or glory. He had come only to help. Weeks ago, he had saved one of their daughters from a burning wreckage when an enemy ship attacked their convoy. His actions had spread through their empire like fire. Some aliens mocked him, calling it luck. Others whispered that no human should have been able to fight so bravely. And yet, here he was, summoned before their council to answer for something he had not expected. The hall quieted as the alien woman stepped forward. She was radiant, with long dark hair that shimmered like glass and markings on her skin that glowed faintly under the council lights. Her voice carried with strange power, soft but firm. "I choose him," she said, pointing at Daniel. "This human saved me when no one else could. I will bind myself to him. I will marry him." Gasps filled the chamber. Alien elders leaned forward in shock. Soldiers shifted uneasily. Even the sisters of the young woman, 3 of them standing close behind, stared in disbelief. Daniel's heart nearly stopped. He could not believe what he had just heard. Marriage with her? He had only done what anyone should have done, save a life. This was madness. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. The head elder slammed his staff against the floor. The sound echoed like thunder. "Unthinkable," he roared. "No alien has ever chosen a human for marriage. Do you mock our traditions, child?" But the young woman stood her ground, her glowing markings brighter now with defiance. "I do not mock you. I honor him. This human risked his life for mine. I give him my heart. I give him my vow." The council broke into chaos. Some shouted that this was forbidden. Others whispered that perhaps it was destiny. Daniel stood frozen, his hands trembling at his sides. He had faced enemy fire, but this storm of voices and judgment felt far more dangerous. Then, before he could speak, another voice cut through the noise. One of the sisters stepped forward. She was taller, her features sharper, her eyes burning with fire. She crossed her arms and spoke coldly. "If he marries her, then he must take us as well. All of us." The chamber fell silent again. Daniel blinked in shock, sure that he had misheard. But the sister's expression was deadly serious. She gestured to herself and to the others. "It is tradition. If a man takes one sister, he must accept the others. None may be left behind." Daniel's stomach twisted. He had walked into a trap without even knowing it. What had started as gratitude was now turning into something much larger, something he could not control. The youngest sister stepped forward then, her eyes wide, her tone softer. "You cannot just marry one of us," she whispered. "Our bond is shared. Our lives are shared. If you choose her, you must choose us too." The council erupted again, voices rising like a storm. Some laughed in disbelief, others shouted for silence. Daniel stood at the center of it all, his mind racing. He had not asked for this. He had not imagined it. Yet every pair of alien eyes was locked on him, waiting. He looked at the young woman, the one who had proposed to him so boldly. Her eyes held no regret, only hope. Her sister's eyes held challenge, demand, and desperation, and the elder's eyes held cold judgment. The head elder leaned forward, his voice booming. "Human, you have been offered the hand of one of our daughters, but her sisters demand their place as well. Speak now. Do you accept, or do you refuse?" Daniel's mouth was dry, his heart pounding like a drum. He wanted to shout, to protest, to run, but he could not. This was bigger than him now. He had stepped into a web of alien tradition, of love, duty, and danger. He swallowed hard, his voice low but firm. I don't understand your ways. I never asked for this. But I will not mock your customs. I only know that I care for the one I saved. As for the rest..." He hesitated, feeling every eye on him. "I need time." The council stirred with anger and whispers. The sisters exchanged glances, their faces unreadable. And the young woman who had proposed smiled faintly, as if she had expected this answer all along. The staff of the elder slammed again, silencing the hall. "You have until the next dawn," the elder declared. "At sunrise you will choose, one or all, and your choice will bind not only your life, but the fate of our people." The words echoed through Daniel's mind like a death sentence. One or all, love or duty, human or alien. As the council dismissed, Daniel stood in the center of the hall, feeling the weight of the galaxy pressing down on him. He had faced death before, but never a decision that could change everything. And in the shadows, the sisters watched him closely, their glowing eyes filled with secrets he had yet to uncover. The night after the council's shocking session was heavy with silence. Daniel sat alone in a small guest chamber given to him by the Alien Council. The room was strange, walls made of smooth crystal, glowing lines of light crawling through them like veins. Outside, the alien city floated on pillars above black oceans, and twin moons painted the sky in silver. But Daniel could not enjoy the view. His mind churned with fear and confusion. One woman had asked to marry him, and then her sisters had demanded the same. He was a soldier, not a diplomat. He had fought battles, but this was something he could not fight with fists or weapons. His heart told him to trust the woman he saved, but his thoughts twisted with doubts. Why would her sisters demand this? Was it really tradition or something more dangerous? The door opened with a soft hiss. Daniel turned sharply, ready to defend himself, but froze when he saw them. The three sisters walked in, silent, graceful, their glowing markings flickering faintly in the dark. The tallest sister spoke first, her voice cool and commanding. "Human, do not think you can refuse us. Our bond is not something you can break. If you marry one, you marry all." Daniel's hands tightened into fists. Why force me? I don't even understand your customs." The second sister, with softer features but sharp eyes, stepped closer. Her tone was quieter, almost sad. "It is not only custom. It is survival. We are bound by blood and by destiny. If one of us is chosen, the others must not be left behind. If you reject us, you destroy her honor, and ours." Daniel looked at their faces, so different yet united in determination. He felt the walls closing in. "And if I say no?" he asked. The youngest sister, who had stayed quiet until now, finally spoke. Her voice trembled, but her words struck deep. "If you say no, we will be cast out, exiled. Our people will never forgive us. We will lose everything." Her eyes shimmered with tears that caught the glow of the moons. For the first time, Daniel felt something break inside him. This wasn't just a demand. It was desperation. But still, his human mind could not accept it easily. He rose from his seat, pacing. "You don't even know me. I don't know you. How can you talk about marriage like it's a trade?" The eldest sister narrowed her eyes. "Because our people are not like yours. Marriage is not only love, it is alliance, power, protection. You saved one of us, but by saving her, you bound yourself to all. Do you think destiny only chooses one?" Her words were heavy, and Daniel felt them sinking into him like stones. He wanted to argue, but deep inside he knew she wasn't lying. Silence filled the room until the second sister moved closer. Her expression softened. "Do you think we are happy demanding this of you? We are not. But we have no choice. Our enemies grow stronger, our council grows weaker. By binding with you, we bring strength, human strength. And perhaps, love too, if it comes with time." Daniel's breath caught. He didn't know what to say. The youngest stepped forward then, her hand trembling as she reached for him. "We don't ask you to love us all today. We ask you not to abandon us. If you choose her, choose us too. We can share the burden. We can share the heart." Her touch was warm, alien, yet gentle. Daniel pulled back slightly, but the sincerity in her eyes held him frozen. At that moment, the door burst open. Guards stepped inside, their armor glowing faintly with power. The leader barked in a harsh voice. "The council demands your answer by dawn. No delay, no escape." The sisters stiffened but said nothing. The guards left as quickly as they came, the sound of their boots fading into silence. Daniel's chest felt heavy, as if the air itself pressed against him. He looked at the sisters again. They stood united, unshaken by the threat. Their faces carried sorrow, determination, and something else. Hope. He whispered to himself, "One or all? One or all?" The words felt like chains around his neck. The eldest sister stepped forward until she was only a breath away. Her eyes glowed fiercely. "At dawn, human, you will stand before the council again. Remember this. If you take only her, you break us. If you take none, you shame us. But if you take us all, you will not only be our husband. You will be bound to a destiny greater than you can imagine." Daniel felt his blood run cold. Destiny. The word rang in his ears like a curse and a promise. The sisters left the room then, their glowing forms disappearing into the night. Daniel collapsed onto the bed, his mind a storm. He had come as a rescuer. Now he stood at the edge of becoming something far more dangerous, the husband to not one alien but all 4 sisters. And as the moons moved across the alien sky, Daniel knew dawn would come too quickly. Daniel did not sleep that night. He lay awake on the strange crystal bed, staring at the ceiling as the glowing lines shifted slowly like veins of light. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw their faces, the woman he had saved, her 3 sisters, and the heavy eyes of the alien council. The words echoed in his mind. One or all. One or none. At dawn, choose. He turned restlessly, his heart torn between fear and compassion. He had never thought of marriage, not even with humans. His life had been war, duty, and survival. Now in the span of a single day, he was expected to marry not 1 alien, but 4. And if he refused, they would suffer exile, shame, and ruin. Why me? He whispered into the silence. Why does it have to be me? But no answer came. Only the hum of the crystal walls and the sound of distant waves far below. As the hours passed, Daniel's thoughts returned to the day he saved her, the eldest sister, the one who had stood so boldly in the council chamber. He had pulled her from burning wreckage, shielded her with his own body while enemy fire rained down. She had looked at him then with wide, desperate eyes, eyes that said she wanted to live, eyes that trusted him, that trust had not left her. And now it chained him to a future he could not escape. Suddenly the door slid open again. Daniel sat up sharply, his hand reaching for the knife hidden in his boot. But it was not guards this time. It was the second sister, the one with soft features but sharp eyes. She entered quietly, her hands folded. You cannot sleep, she said, her voice low, almost kind. Daniel frowned. No, not with this choice pressing on me. She stepped closer, her glowing markings dim like candlelight. You think it is only about marriage, but it is more. Our people are fractured. Enemies surround us. You humans are feared for your strength, your defiance, your courage. If you stand with us, if you marry us, you become a shield. You become hope. Daniel shook his head. Hope I am just a man, a soldier who got lucky. I saved her because it was right, not because I wanted to become your savior. The sister studied him, then gave a sad smile. Perhaps that is why fate chose you. Because you did not seek power. And yet power seeks you. Her words cut deep. Daniel wanted to argue, but a heavy silence fell between them. Then the youngest sister appeared at the doorway. Her steps were hesitant, her eyes bright with unshed tears. She whispered, "He doesn't understand. He doesn't know what happens if he refuses." The second sister's expression hardened. Then tell him. The youngest stepped forward, her hands trembling. If you refuse us, we are dishonored. Not just in name, but in blood. We will be cast out. No family, no home, no place in this galaxy. We will wander as shadows, alone. Her voice broke and she lowered her head. Daniel's chest tightened. He could not ignore that pain, not when it was spoken with such truth. He rose from the bed, stepping closer. I never wanted to hurt any of you, but I don't know your ways. I don't know your hearts. Marriage is not a game where I come from. It is a vow, a bond. The second sister's eyes glowed faintly as she replied, and here too it is a vow, but not only of love, of unity, of survival. You bind to us and we bind to you. Together, we are stronger. Before Daniel could answer, the door slammed open. The eldest sister, the one who had first declared him her husband, entered with fierce steps. Her eyes burned like fire. You speak of doubts, she said, her voice echoing in the chamber. But I chose you because you did not fear. You did not bow. You saved me when even my own people turned away. Tell me, human, will you now turn away from me? Daniel froze. Her words stabbed deeper than any blade. He remembered her in the flames, remembered her desperate cry. He had carried her when she could not walk. Now she stood before him, demanding once again that he carry her, but this time into an unknown future. He looked at the 3 sisters, their glowing forms surrounding him. One stern, one sorrowful, one hopeful, and then at the eldest, fierce and unyielding. The weight of choice pressed down harder than ever. His voice shook as he spoke. If I marry one, I am forced to marry all. If I marry none, you are ruined. But if I marry all, what happens to me? What happens to my life, my freedom? The eldest sister stepped closer, so close he could feel the strange warmth of her skin, She whispered, then you become ours, and we become yours. Not chains, Daniel, a bond, a destiny. Daniel's throat was dry. He could not answer. And then the horns of the council echoed outside, long and loud, calling the city to gather. Dawn had come. The time to choose had arrived. The horns of the council still echoed in Daniel's ears as he was led back into the grand hall. The chamber was crowded, every eye fixed on him. The twin moons had faded, and the rising sun poured golden light through the crystal windows, painting the sisters in a glow that made them seem otherworldly. The council elder raised his staff. The hour of choice has come. Speak, human. Who will you take? But before Daniel could open his mouth, the eldest sister stepped forward. Her sharp voice silenced the hall. Before he chooses, he must know who we are. He must know what he carries if he binds with us. The elder frowned but did not stop her. The chamber leaned forward in anticipation. The eldest turned to Daniel, her dark hair falling over her glowing shoulders. I am Arya, she declared. I am a warrior. I command the fleets that guard our people. My hands are stained with the blood of enemies, but I fight so my sisters may live. If you bind with me, you bind with war. You bind with the shield of our kind. Her eyes met his, burning, unyielding. Daniel felt the weight of her words. She was not just a bride. She was a commander, a protector, a soldier like him. Then the second sister moved forward. Her glow was softer like a healer's flame. She lifted her hands and a warm light spread from her palms, filling the air with a gentle hum. Wounds appeared on her skin only to vanish instantly. The crowd gasped. I am Selene, she said, her voice calm, almost tender. I heal, I mend. I carry the pain of my people so they may rise again. If you bind with me, you bind with the weight of every broken body, every wounded soul. My vow is not battle, but mercy. My love is not fire, but healing. Daniel's chest tightened. He had seen healers before, but never one who glowed with such selfless power. Then the third sister stepped forward, tall, regal, her eyes sharp as blades. She carried no weapon, yet her presence was heavier than all. Her words were steady, commanding, like the echo of a queen. I am Kaelin, she declared. I lead our houses. I speak for our bloodline in the council. My words hold the power to unite or divide empires. If you bind with me, you bind with politics, with law, with destiny written in every treaty. My vow is not war or healing, it is command. The chamber stirred, whispers spreading like fire. Daniel's heart pounded. Each sister was not just a woman. Each was a pillar of her people. Then the youngest came forward. She was quiet, almost fragile, her glowing eyes wide with innocence. The crowd hushed, waiting. I am Lyra, she whispered, her voice trembling. I am the seer. I see shadows of what may come. I see hope and I see ruin. If you bind with me, you bind with the unknown. My vow is not to fight, not to heal, not to rule, but to guide, even when the path is dark. Her small hand lifted, and for a moment Daniel saw a vision flash before his eyes. The galaxy burning, fleets colliding, his own face standing at the center of it all. He staggered back, gasping. The hall erupted into cries of shock. The council had not expected this reveal. The sisters stood united, their secrets now laid bare. Arya, the warrior. Selene, the healer. Kaelin, the leader. Lyra, the seer. Together they were not simply women. They were the foundation of an empire. Daniel's mind spun. He felt trapped between awe and terror. This was no ordinary choice of marriage. It was the choice of a future that could bind his entire species with theirs. The eldest sister stepped closer, her voice fierce. Now you see, we are not asking only for love. We are asking for alliance. We are asking you to carry our fate with yours, the second sister added, her tone softer, pleading. We did not reveal this before because we feared you would run. But you must understand, we cannot survive divided. With you perhaps we can endure. The third spoke coldly. Refuse and we fall into chaos. Accept and you rise with us. And the youngest whispered, her eyes wet with tears. If you choose us, the stars themselves will change. I have seen it. Daniel's hand shook at his sides. He had come here a stranger, a soldier who stumbled into their lives. Now they revealed their true selves, not as women desperate for marriage, but as pillars of survival. Each one was powerful, dangerous, and vital. The council elder struck his staff again. Enough, human, you have heard their secrets. You know their truth. Now choose. Daniel's throat was dry. The weight of their words pressed into him like iron chains. The hall leaned forward, every breath held. He opened his mouth, but the words caught in his throat. His heart raced, his mind screamed. This was no longer only his dilemma, it was a turning point for two worlds. And deep within him, a voice whispered, "If you walk away now, you will regret it forever." The horn sounded again, demanding his answer. But Daniel could not speak. Not yet. Because in that moment he realized the truth. He was not choosing between love and duty. He was choosing the shape of destiny itself. The grand hall shook as the elder's staff slammed against the floor once more. The sound was like thunder rolling through the chamber. The voices of the nobles fell silent, and all eyes returned to Daniel, who stood frozen in the center. "You have heard their secrets," the elder declared, his voice deep and cold. "You have seen the truth of who these sisters are. Now, human, you will choose, refuse, and know the punishment that awaits." Daniel's chest tightened. He looked around the hall, hundreds of alien eyes watching, judging, waiting for him to stumble. His palms were sweaty, his breath uneven. He had fought battles before, but never had his own words felt like weapons that could kill. The eldest sister, Arya, stepped forward. She stood tall, her warrior's pride unbroken, but her voice shook as she whispered, "Be careful, Daniel. The council is not patient. They will turn against you if you hesitate." But before Daniel could speak, another elder rose from his seat. His long silver robes trailed behind him as he walked forward, his glowing eyes filled with anger. "This is a mockery," the elder spat. "Our traditions are not games to be played by a human. One sister or all, he must decide. If he rejects them, let him be punished. Let him be exiled from our world, or better yet, let him be executed for dishonoring our daughters." Gasps filled the chamber. Daniel's heart skipped a beat. Execution? For refusing marriage? His fist clenched as fury surged inside him. He took a step forward, his voice rising. "I saved her life. I risked everything. And this is how you repay me? By forcing me into chains? By threatening my life?" The hall stirred in shock. No one dared raise their voice against the council, but Daniel's words rang out like fire. The eldest elder slammed his staff again. "You dare defy us?" Daniel's eyes burned with defiance. "I dare to speak truth. You talk of honor. But where is the honor in forcing a man to marry against his will? Where is the honor in threatening me when I only came to help?" The crowd erupted, some shouting in anger, others murmuring with uneasy agreement. Daniel's words had struck at something the council had not expected: doubt. The second sister, Celine, stepped beside him, her calm voice breaking through the chaos. "Elders, listen. He is not wrong. We brought him here because he saved one of us, not to treat him as a prisoner. If you force his hand, you destroy not only his honor, but ours as well." But the council was not moved. Another elder sneered. "You are blind, girl. This human is no hero, he is a threat. He carries the strength of his kind, a strength that terrifies even us. If he refuses, we will cut him down before he brings ruin." Daniel felt the eyes of the guards on him, their hands already on their weapons. His blood boiled. He would not allow himself to be cornered like an animal. The third sister, Kaelin, raised her voice then, firm, commanding, the voice of a leader. "If you harm him, you break every law of our houses. He saved us. He has done nothing but honor us. Strike him down and you show the galaxy your true weakness." Her words sent ripples through the chamber. Some nobles nodded slowly, others frowned in silence. Still, the council pressed harder. The eldest elder leaned close, his voice like poison. "Human, do not mistake their kindness for protection. You are alone here. If you do not obey, you will die before the sun sets." Daniel's jaw tightened. He could feel his heart pounding like drums in his chest. But instead of fear, something else began to rise inside him. Anger, courage, defiance. He straightened his back, his voice steady. "I am not afraid of death. I have faced it many times. But I will not let you threaten me into a choice. My heart will decide, not your staff." The hall erupted again. The nobles whispered furiously. The council shouted for silence, and the guards took another step closer. Then the youngest sister, Lyra, stepped forward. Her small hands trembled, her voice soft but clear. "Stop, please, do you not see? I have seen the visions. If you kill him, if you force him, our empire falls. The stars burn, the fleets scatter, and our people vanish into ash." Her eyes glowed brighter, tears streaming down her face. The hall froze in silence. Even the council hesitated, for her visions were known to be true. Daniel looked at her, his chest heavy. He realized then that this was no longer about him alone. His decision was tied to the fate of an entire people. The elder growled, frustrated, but he could not ignore the seer's warning. "Very well," he said finally. "At dawn's end you will speak your answer. One or all. Refuse and we will cast you into the void. That is your final chance." The council dismissed, leaving the chamber buzzing with tension. Guards surrounded Daniel, their eyes cold, their weapons ready. The sisters stood close to him, their faces filled with worry, anger, and sorrow. Daniel's heart burned. He had never felt so trapped, so cornered. Yet inside, a fire grew stronger. He would not let fear decide for him. As the council left, Arya whispered to him fiercely, "They think they can break you. Don't let them. Whatever you choose, make it your choice, not theirs." Daniel looked at her, then at Selene, Kaelin, and Lyra. Each sister stood with him despite the danger, and deep in his heart, Daniel made a silent vow. He would not bow. Whatever happened at dawn's end, his answer would shake the galaxy. The council chamber was left behind, but its echo still haunted Daniel's mind. The threats, the demands, the weight of their traditions, it pressed on him like chains of iron. That night he sat alone again in his crystal chamber. Outside, the alien city was quiet. The black ocean reflected the moons like broken glass. Daniel tried to steady his breathing, but the truth was clear. He had until dawn's end. After that, his choice would seal his fate or end his life. A soft knock broke the silence. The door slid open, and one by one the sisters entered. Their glowing markings shone faintly in the dim light, their faces shadowed with worry. They were not warriors, rulers, healers, or seers tonight. They were simply women carrying a burden too heavy to bear alone. Arya, the eldest, stood tall as always, but her eyes betrayed exhaustion. "Daniel," she said softly, "we cannot let you face this alone. We came because you must know our truth, not the truth of titles or powers, but the truth of our hearts." Daniel frowned, leaning forward. "Your hearts? I thought I already knew everything when you revealed your secrets in the council." Selene, the healer, shook her head. "No, what we showed you was duty. What we hid was pain." She stepped closer, her hands trembling. "Do you know why we cling to you so fiercely? It is not only tradition. It is because we are trapped. For years the council has used us as symbols. Arya fights their wars. Kaelin speaks their laws. I heal their wounded. Lyra carries the burden of visions that no one wishes to hear. But none of us are free. None of us have lived for ourselves. You were the first choice we ever made." Her words pierced Daniel's chest. He saw in her eyes not just desperation, but a quiet longing for something simple, something real. Kaelin, the leader, spoke next. Her voice was steady, but for the first time it cracked. "I speak in the council, but I have no voice of my own. They dress me in power, but it is only a chain of gold. When my sister chose you, I felt envy. Not because of love, but because she did something I could not. She defied them. She reached for freedom. And if you take her, if you take us, maybe we finally break those chains together." Daniel's throat tightened. These sisters, who had seemed untouchable in the council hall, now stood before him as prisoners of their own people. Then Lyra, the youngest, stepped forward. Her eyes glowed faintly with tears. "I see futures, Daniel. Most of them are full of fire. In many I see us dead, scattered, forgotten. But in a few, very few, I see us together. You with us. Not because of force, not because of fear. Because you chose. And in those futures our people survive. Humanity rises. Together we build something the galaxy has never seen." Her voice shook as she whispered, "That is why we beg you. Not as warriors, not as rulers, not as symbols. As women who are tired of being used. As sisters who only want a chance to live free." Daniel felt the air grow heavy. He had faced enemies with guns and fire, but nothing had ever cut him this deeply. These women were not just demanding, they were pleading. Pleading for hope, for freedom, for life itself. He rose from the bed, his hands shaking. "You asked me to carry so much. To take on your pain, your future, your people, and yet, I'm only one man." Arya stepped forward then, her fierce mask breaking. She placed her hand on his chest, right over his racing heart. "No, Daniel. You are not only one man. You are the man who ran into fire when no one else did. You are the man who looked at us not as queens or commanders, but as people. That is why we chose you. Because you see us." Her voice softened, trembling for the first time. And because we need you." The sisters surrounded him now, their voices like a single plea in the silence of the night. Celine, don't let us fall. Kaylin, don't let them control us. Lyra, don't let the vision of Ash become true. Daniel closed his eyes. His heart thundered, torn between fear and compassion. He had come here as a soldier, a stranger. Now he was the center of their fate, the turning point of a galaxy. He whispered, "What if I fail you?" Arya's hand squeezed his chest. "Then we fall together. But if you stand, then so do we." The room was quiet except for the sound of their breathing, heavy with hope and fear. Daniel realized then that Dawn would not just bring his choice, it would bring their salvation or their doom. And for the first time, he wondered if his destiny had always been waiting here, among these sisters who needed him more than anyone ever had. The horns of dawn echoed across the alien city. The sky above the black ocean glowed red and gold as the suns rose, painting the council hall in firelight. The chamber was filled with nobles, soldiers, and citizens who had gathered to witness history. At the center stood Daniel, the lone human. Around him were the four sisters, their glowing markings bright in the morning light. They looked calm, but he could see the fear hidden in their eyes. The elder raised his staff high. The chamber fell silent. "Human," the elder thundered. "The hour has come. No more delay. Speak your choice now. One, all, or none. If you refuse, you die. If you falter, they fall. Choose." The crowd erupted with chants, voices pressing in on Daniel like a storm. His heart pounded, but he stood tall, shoulders straight, eyes steady. He had not slept, but his mind was sharper than ever. He looked at Arya, the warrior whose fierce strength had saved her people countless times. He looked at Celine, the healer, whose mercy carried the pain of others. He looked at Kaylin, the leader, whose voice could unite or divide worlds. And he looked at Lyra, the seer, whose visions showed fire and hope alike. He thought of their pleas in the night. He thought of their chains, golden chains of duty and power, invisible but unbreakable. And he thought of his own heart, beating now not with fear but with resolve. Daniel took a deep breath and raised his voice. "I came here as a soldier. I saved her life because it was right. I never asked for this. Never imagined standing here forced to choose. But you call this marriage. You call this tradition. You think you can bind me with threats." His voice grew louder, defiance burning in his words. "I will not be threatened. I will not be chained. I am human, and my choice is my own." The council stirred angrily, but Daniel pressed on, his voice cutting through their noise. "You ask me to take one. You demand I take all. But I tell you this, I will accept them. Not as prisoners of your tradition, not as property of your council, but as my equals. I take them as my family, my partners, my bond, and together we will not bow to your fear. We will rise above it." The hall went silent. The words hung heavy in the air. For the first time, someone had spoken against the council with such fire, and lived to finish. The elder slammed his staff. "Silence. You twist our traditions with human arrogance. You think you can defy us?" Daniel's eyes blazed. "I do not think, I know. If you kill me, you lose them. If you exile me, you shame yourselves. But if you accept my vow, you gain something greater than tradition. You gain unity between our people. You gain a bond the galaxy has never seen." The sisters stepped forward then, standing beside him. Arya laid her hand on his arm. Celine took his other hand. Kaylin stood tall at his side. Lyra whispered, her voice trembling but clear, "This is the future I saw." The crowd erupted, some in cheers, others in outrage. The nobles argued, voices clashing like thunder. The guards hesitated, caught between duty and doubt. The elder raised his staff again, fury burning in his eyes. "This is madness. No human can change our ways." But then something unexpected happened. A voice rose from the crowd, not of a noble but of a soldier. "He saved her life," the soldier shouted. "He saved us. Why should we not listen?" Another voice joined. "He speaks truth. Our traditions are chains. Perhaps it is time to break them." The chamber filled with shouts, not just of defiance but of hope. For the first time, the people themselves challenged the council. The elder's face twisted with rage, but even he saw the tide turning. His staff trembled in his grip. Daniel stood firm, his voice calm but powerful. "I do not come to steal your daughters. I do not come to rule your council. I come to walk beside them and with them to build a future. That is my choice, and no threat of death will change it. The hall shook with the roar of voices. The council could not silence it. The sisters stood taller now, their eyes shining with pride. Arya whispered, "You defied them." Celine whispered, "You healed us." Kaelin whispered, "You changed the council." And Lyra whispered, tears in her eyes, "You chose us." And the galaxy turned. The elder lowered his staff slowly, his face pale. He could not kill Daniel now, not with the people against him. "Then so be it," the elder said bitterly. "Your vow binds you. One man, 4 sisters. The galaxy will remember this day." Daniel nodded, his voice steady. "Yes, they will remember. Not because I bowed to fear, but because I stood for choice." The sisters clasped his hands, their glow merging into one brilliant light that filled the hall. For a moment, it was as if the galaxy itself held its breath. And in that light, Daniel realized something true. He had not just saved one life. He had saved an empire the human had chosen, and the stars would never be the same again.